a goal! Can you believe it? It's extraordinary.
Let's talk about the Hawks, because they were great yesterday, weren't they?
Nath?
Certainly were. Without the Hawks are outstanding. Hey, Alistair Clarkson is a genius. We're going to say it over and over again. I don't think many people expected them to go to Adelaide and do what they did. He just focused on Adelaide's half-back line, stopped their run, and it was a super performance, not only by the coach, but the players to implement what he wanted to do.
How can they rebuild so quickly?
It's just they know what they do. They know their structures. They know where they need to play, and they've got a coach they believe in, a coach they play for, and they were outstanding again.
Really good point, Brownie. Sorry, TJ. And I just wanted to look at Alistair Clarkson and his record against Don Pike and Hawthorn against Adelaide. They've won the last 11 out of 12, the Hawks up against the Crows. Clarko 4-1 in his last 5 against Don Pike. Let's go to the way that they did that. They took 12 intercept marks in their back 50. I want to start with this. There is nowhere that Matt Crouch can kick that ball. Hawthorn have it covered with the way that they set up the triangle in the back half. They did this all day. Look, this one from Douglas. Where can he kick this footy? There's the dangerous space, but there's no way there is an Adelaide player that's going to mark that. Sicily attacks the footy. No effort from Taylor Walker. Away they go. They did this each and every time. Hawthorn, once again here, pause it here. Where is Adelaide going to mark that footy? Hawthorn got it covered with the spare at the front, the spare at the back, and they mark it right in the middle. I just thought the way they set up, and here, when it was time to defend one-on-one, there's no spare there, but when it was one-on-one, they were too good for Adelaide. They come off, they won their one-on-one battles, and they were just far too organised in the back line. Once again, where is Adelaide going to mark that footy? Nowhere, because Hawthorn have it covered. Impey was terrific. Clarkson dismantled Don Pike once again, and there's that record. And there's been some big defeats there. Last year by 56, yesterday by 32, and the record Clarko's building up against the Crows is outstanding.
Oh, I tell you what, that was outstanding too.
Very
Peaking
good
very
start,
early in
Kane.
the piece. Hey, it's one thing to lose a game, it's one thing also to lose a player.
Yeah, a player the calibre of Tom Doedee, who has also done a knee injury, as Alex Rance did for Richmond on Thursday night. Again, it's an innocuous-looking moment within a game of football, but that left knee has buckled and he is now out for the season. And Lotto, he was such a good player last year, wasn't he? The way he came into that team and covered for Jake Lever, who left for Melbourne last year. And that is a massive blow for the Crows.
You're spot on, and then I heard, Kane, you speak about it over the weekend. Their defence now with Talia, Hardigan, Alex Keith, they're all similar types. They're negative defensive type players. They've lost their aggressiveness now from both losing Lever and now so Doedee.
Great to have Brad Couch back for Adelaide, of course, but maybe a bit rusty. Let's have a look at this. We all love a good Falcon. And bang! Oh, that would have hurt. And also this one.
Oh.
Now, Tom Langdon here, he saved a goal. Look at this. He has saved a goal by headering it back into play. Well done, Tom.
Joining us now is one of the current crop of Hawks and a man who was actually in that meeting, Jack Gunston. G'day, Jack.
Thanks for having me.
That booming voice to actually have been in the room must have been pretty, inspiring, sort of spine-tingling.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time he speaks, it just speaks volume of the footy club and where we've come from. And for a lot of the younger guys to listen to him, and look, as you saw there, it's a lot of the basics and it's the easy things to do on the footy field, but it's great to hear it from such a legend of the footy club and someone we respect.
Absolutely.
Jack, we'll take a look at the scores first. Brilliant win from Hawthorn yesterday. It's probably the toughest place to win, to be honest, there over at Adelaide Oval, sorry, and you're just dominant from the start. Cousins, Warple, McAvoy, good to see some different goal kickers there, and Warple 27 disposals. Crouch, Sloan did their best, but just not good enough, and just the confidence going into the round one. None of us knew what we were going to get from Hawthorn, but what did you think? You didn't have your two big recruits, Scully and also Chad Wingard, but just got the job done anyway.
Yeah, I guess probably the last couple of years we've gone into round one a bit of the unknown. We've got a lot of confidence in our group and a lot of the young guys coming through, and to get another pre-season under their belt, and especially from a lot of those midfielders, they've got a great coach in Sam Mitchell that's come back to the footy club, and they love him and respect him highly, and he's just done wonders for them and given them a lot of confidence to go out and play their game. Jaeger
O'Meara, we saw kick a goal there. Tim Watson made a call a few years ago that he thinks he could be the best midfielder ever the game's ever seen. Tim Watson made that point, I know. But I just want to ask you about him. Do you think he's got the capabilities this year to be a top 5 player in the game?
Oh, absolutely. I think Jaeger's a super player, and we just need to get games and games under his belt, and he's starting to build that confidence, and I think he came out the other day and said he's not even concerned about injuries or anything anymore that's plagued his career. So he's trending in the right direction at the moment, and hopefully, he can put a full season together.
You were saying off camera, with the heat and the lack of rotations, there wasn't a lot of red zone running yesterday over there.
Yeah, it was a funny game. It was probably similar to a lot of the others. There's little errors and the fundamentals that a lot of slip in and slide in and yeah, costly turnovers. But yeah, it was a weird game. It was hot and it was a bit sticky, but yeah, it was just a matter of grinding it out, and a lot of the younger guys for us did that.
For viewers at home, what is red zone running?
Oh, it's probably like, it's a top end speed. It's the sprinting, it's the hard gut running, and you're running hard, you're working hard, but it's that top end running that you can see the sort of the wingers and the midfielders do more often.
We get caught up in stats at times, but if you look at these, Adelaide nearly won all of them. You had 72 less disposals, but 17 more tackles. Take us through the tactics of how you set up against Adelaide and how were you able to slow a team down that we all thought was going to be up there this year?
Yeah, a lot of it just came down to our defensive bubble, our zone, as we like to call it, and setting up behind the ball and making sure we're structured and directing each other. And a lot of our goals probably came from turnovers, and we tried to keep it in our forward half and lock it in as much as possible. 28
intercept marks, we took a look at that earlier on. But two midfielders who were sensational in the absence of Tom Mitchell. One is the Warpedo, picked 45 in the draft from a couple of years ago. He just improved so much. And the other one as well, James Cousins. So those two have stepped up in the absence of one of the game's best players.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think we came out and you said you can't replace the Brownlow medalist in Tom Mitchell, but it's all the other guys stepping up around and creating sort of a new midfield group. And these guys have been critical to it, along with Jager and Liam Shields and Isaac Smith. And it's going to be these guys that are going to drive us through the whole season, because every game starts in the centre, so we need them to be, I guess, at the top of their game.
Great story, Warpedo. He's the youngest of 8 kids, so he wouldn't have got a feed growing up, I don't reckon. And Bell Park boy, hard as a cat's head. This is what he does. Have a look at this here. Don't argue with his own teammate. Get out of me road. And he's taken a number 5 jumper too.
He has, yeah. It's funny, you see that for the first time, but I reckon he trains that at training. Just anyone get out of his way. He's a big bull. He's a big bull, that kid, so he's a bit of a man-child, but I'm lucky he's on our side.
Massive James Sicily fan. He controlled that back line yesterday, took 10 marks, 26 disposals. Their big men didn't kick a goal yesterday. He just left off, took off where he left off last year.
Yeah, and it was a different role for him. A few of these clips are he's by himself, but he actually played on Tex for a lot of the day and kept him pretty quiet. He normally goes to the smaller forwards and peels off and beats that intercept marker, but that was great by him yesterday to play that role and do it really well.
How'd Tex go, Kane?
He was quiet, yeah. As Jack said, James Sicily got the better of him.
Mate, he kicked 9. He was quiet. Hey, congratulations, Vice Captain. That's good. And tell us about your new captain, Ben Stratton.
Yeah, Strats is one of those guys that just leads on the field. We see him off the field. He does his own thing. He's a unique character, and he's got the random tattoos all over his body, but he's loved by the blokes and he's embracing the role, and couldn't think of a better bloke to lead our footy club.
What's he say at quarter time and half time when he grabs you in this circle?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't really listen too much, but no, he just harps on the coach's thoughts pre-game and puts a little spin on it, as Strato does.
Before I do the votes, I want to ask you about having no runner. Does it worry you at all? I know Clarko wasn't too happy about it, but as a senior player, did you notice anything different?
Not too much. Probably just the fact that I guess when it's getting tight in the game, it does come down to the leaders of the footy club to make some calls into how we want to structure it, whether we put someone behind the ball or if we need to slow the game down a little bit. But probably the main difference I saw yesterday is if you're the person closest to the bench, you're the one starting to pull off a lot of the players. So you're acting as if a runner just to help get a few guys off for rotations.
The votes yesterday, Jack, top 3 were obviously Hawks players. Just a dominant display. Fantastic from James Warple. James Sicily, as we've just touched on. O'Meara, all the 3 players we've spoken about. And Sloan worked extremely hard. 9 tackles, 36 disposals. He could hold his head up high.